Now, I'm going to say that in general, the language technology industry, both solution and service, are just really doing a poor job at this of selling MT and selling MT post editing and selling terminology work as services of a bigger project. Just upselling. Just these a lot of companies are just really bad at this. I've seen this, and I've done a bit in sales as well, and I've seen it, and that's the reason why the pricing value is so low. It's a low value. It's a low feeder kind of market. It's crap prices. Okay, it's because the people selling the solutions are not doing a job of selling big projects fully planned and convincing the customers that you have to have a big project. It's the salesperson's problem. That's where it's coming from. It's not a technology problem. Okay? It's not. It's coming from that. And so that's kind of my comment there. And people will not be happy I'm saying this, but it's true. Okay, it's just true. Um, and go look at the big companies where they sell big deals. This is what you do. You sell the whole thing. Sell the whole thing, the whole package, all the services. Okay, um, and it goes, but it's costly. Okay, it's costly. Now pricing. Point four here. The pricing, and I have sold and implemented solutions and services that have included the following points, like not just a three-step translation edit proof TEP cycle, okay? Um, not a one-step or anything where it's just draft translation or whatever, but I have sold above and beyond the three-step, the TEP completely. I've also in the projects I've sold in the translation industry, okay? I've sold a specific fee for pilot projects. I've sold a percentage for project management. I've sold a percentage for desktop publishing, DTP. I've sold a specific fee for hourly or per entry terminology work, etc., etc. Okay, um, and it can be done because I've done it. I've just done it. Um, so if the question here is if it's not being sold, then the reason is why. Um, and so the questions might be, does the customer want a short-term cost-cutting solution? That might be a reason. Or does the customer want to really implement a long-term project with overall return on investment ROI, with improved quality, better content leveraging, etc.? That's another question to ask. Or are there many salespeople who are just not selling the projects and the services and the project service for the value that they should be? Okay. Um, and all this comes down to educate the customer, educate the customer, educate the customer, educate the customer, etc., et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Educate the customer. Um, you got to sell them as big projects. And so there have been several large implementations with published customer testimony case studies. You can go look up on the Sistrand website for the Symantec implementation in the press releases or the case studies. You can go find the one on the EADS and Sistrand site. You can go look at a number of the Caterpillar project, MT project conference talks. You can also look up some of the General Motors conference talks from 1998 to the Caterpillar one. You'll find a lot of them in between 1996, maybe even a little bit earlier, because Multilingual Magazine actually had an article in 1991 from the top of my head. And then they had couple of articles, but then they had a lot of conference talks, mainly at the Claw Talks, and some MT. They went until probably 1998, maybe a couple of them into the year 2000-ish. So about a decade of a few talks and things. General Motors had a lot of them between 1998, 1999, and probably about 2004. Okay. And there are other kinds of examples like this where you'll find these companies that go and talk about what they're doing. Symantec did quite a few localization world talks too. In addition to that, the case study I mentioned. So if the language industry really keeps treating um, machine translation, post editing, and MT feedback and terminology work as just extra tasks that that have no value, that have no selling value, then it will just go around and around and around and around and around and around. And the problem is we're not charging these services. You know, the salespeople are just not convincing the customer to pay for the services. Upselling. Okay, this is just how it goes. And people say, well, the customers don't want to pay for it. Well, I'm calling that's a bunch of BS. Okay, this is BS. I have sold projects, I've implemented projects, sales of services and professional services where all the services were paid. Okay, it's been done. It's just you got to convince the customer to pay for it. And so that's kind of what it is.